I would like to introduce you to a man that he doesn't need any introduction. But before I turn to the microphone to our Attorney General candidate for governor, I would like to say, as I told you before, we need somebody that we know. We need somebody that been there for a long time, been a Republican for a long time, been part of our organization for a long time is very, very critical. And without further ado, Attorney General Bill McCollum.
I just feel awfully at home over here. I enjoy coming to Pinellas County every time. Some of you I've told stories to. When JJ says I got Republican blood running through my veins, it's probably true. Most of you don't know this. My granddad, Lockhart, my mom's dad, was the general counsel of the Republican Party in the 1950s in Florida. And I know that Pinellas has a lot of rootstock for Republicanism in this state. You probably know that too. But I used to troop around with him as a kid. And I remember looking at his library. He had a small private library, and he had all these great works about the Constitution, and I'm sure that I got imbued with a lot of the feelings that all of us share in this room about the values and the principles and the Constitution and what our founding fathers really meant to this nation and what great freedoms that we have because of him. And so while we have varieties of people who say that they register Republican for different reasons, I'm kind of the old-fashioned conservative, grew up that way. And JJ, you probably didn't realize quite what that introduction meant to me, was very poignant. The other thing about Pinellas County is that, you know, you're responsible for my going to Congress. I wouldn't be in public life today if it weren't for For the newcomers, you probably don't know that when I first was elected to Congress, I represented the north end of this county, and I had the privilege of being elected because of the work that was done with real grassroots politics. In fact, I saw my very first campaign chairman for this county just recently, now lives at Ponte Vedra. He had been a former school board member here, and I used to spend hours and hours with him and his family. He welcomed me, and he was a precinct committee man. He'd already been a school board member, JJ, and I was running a grassroots campaign against an incumbent congressman who Jim Frisch remembers was a little bit kind of kooky. And anyway, I wasn't supposed to run. I was trying to talk Kurt Kaiser into running, and Kurt didn't want to do it. He was going to wait till the congressional redistricting, because we all know that Mike Milarakis won that after that. But I decided that Kelly was going to lose. And so I started ringing precinct committee men and committee women doorbells, and I rang the Goons one night, and they invited me in, and we sat over this conversation, and when I left, he was my chairman. And I ousted his daughter, his little girl, from her bed sometimes. I'd stay over there, and they'd match them up. And so I have warm feelings for the county. Let me talk about where we are. Today was a great day. I got to fly around with Jeb Bush. We started in Miami with Cuban radio, and I did Caracol, which is the Colombian radio, with him, always with Jeb there. And of course, he's so fluent in Spanish and saying nice things about me. And we went on and did live Radio Bombay there and so on. And we went over to where he voted. He went to voting, early voting. Today was the first day. We had a press conference there with the press after he voted. And then we flew to Jacksonville. And we had a tremendous turnout there at the Republican headquarters. Then we came to Tampa and then went to my headquarters. Some of you were over there. And also had great press. I think we had every television station in any of those regions came out to cover it. And the importance of that to me was not just that Jeb's endorsing. Of course it's important. I mean, he's a leader in our state party and a person that all of us in this room admire, but he's also somebody of great integrity. And to have him stand beside me right now and say, this is the man, for all these family reasons, I've known him all this time, he's known my dad, my brother, and me, and I know that he will make the very best governor that could possibly be there this time, is an incredible compliment, and it's a great high honor for me to be with him today. But it's more than that. We talked about the issues we don't often get to do. And we talked about where the state needs to go. As Jeb knows as well as I do, the real issue right now in this campaign for the policy part of this is, what are we going to do to create jobs? What are we going to do to restructure Florida's economy? The next governor's got to be a leader in this regard. We've too long depended on just a couple of industries, and I've talked to some of you about that before, travel and tourism and agriculture. I'm all for them, and I'll promote them, but You know, I have a plan that I vetted a long time ago, April 15th this year, here in the Tampa Bay area with Steve Forrest. And Steve came down after he vetted this before through the various computer models and whatever they were. And we believe this plan will create 500,000 new jobs in Florida over the next 6 years. No gimmicks in it. It's just plain basic bread and butter. It reduces certain key taxes to help inspire businesses to come to our state, move their headquarters here, and to help our small businesses grow, like reducing the corporate income tax from 5.5% to 4.5%, and eliminating the sales tax permanently on certain equipment needed for the high-tech and the biotech and the aerospace industries that we really want to attract down here. I mean, Governor Bush started bringing in Scripps and Burnham, and we have some others in this county, but we need more. These are the good permanent jobs that Florida's been missing, and we're not competitive right now in luring businesses that want to relocate in these industries, and instead the states that are cleaning our clock are Mississippi and Texas and even Georgia and Alabama and some of the other regional states. And in addition to the tax law changes, the plan involves reducing some of the regulatory burden we have. We're not, you know, like New Jersey or New York or California, but Florida is one of the most overregulated states in the nation. And so I have a number of plans you can find up on BillMcCollum.com on the website about specifically how we're going to go about doing that. And it involves as well reorganizing the machinery so that I have the means and the tools to go out as your governor and go actually recruit. Go out to the rest of the states and be ahead of the curve and say, we're looking for those businesses we want to come here. We'd like for you to come here. We don't have very efficient machinery to do that right now. And then it also involves capital, bringing capital into our state. We don't have enough early stage venture capital. I know not everybody in the room will probably know exactly what that is, because I didn't when I first got out of Congress and I was standing around and somebody asked me to represent a early stage venture capital concern. And I admit, even though I've been on the banking committee, I had to bone up a bit. But that's what young companies that maybe just got started really need. It's the very first investment. It's not a loan from a bank. You need other investors. It might be $500,000. It might be $250,000. It might be $1 million. But it's beyond that. It's you know, bigger capital. But we don't have those firms in Florida to speak of. Only 2 or 3 or 4 at best. And when we had created the Florida Growth Fund last year in the pension fund for the state, where I'm one of the trustees, we thought we were helping with that. In fact, our objective was to encourage venture capital investment. It's only a tiny portion of the pension portfolio. It's spread about a lot of different types of investments. But all that had been going out of state. And so the managers of that fund came back to report to us here recently, and they said, look, we can't invest in early stage in Florida because it's too risky for the pension fund unless we have 3 or 4 others or other venture capital funds to invest with us. We can share in that, and they aren't here in Florida. And so a big part of my job is to come and help create that. And there are ideas in there like the Genesis Fund, where we seed it and enhance and encourage and incentivize venture capital to come to our state. That's important. And there's education, which I'm not going into in detail tonight, but you know, flying around with Jeb, you never go anywhere you didn't mention education. Created a foundation for that. Absolutely, we should thank him. We have improved our scores in the 4th grade reading and math tremendously because we have accountability. Now that's not all we need. We need merit pay, and we need to phase out tenure for teachers. We need more choice in the schools. We need special continuing education for our science teachers in middle school and high school. Not that they all don't need it, but they particularly need it. And there are a lot of things we need to do to bring Florida schools further along than they are today, so that not only are our kids getting the kind of education they need, and we need them for the future workforce, but we also have something to talk about when I go out to market this state to bring those companies here and to relocate the kind of capital we need and so on. Now that's what we should be talking about in this campaign. That and litigation reform and transportation and water and all of those sorts of things. And instead we've been involved in an entirely different kind of campaign. There's been a fellow who's been spending $45 million, maybe. And most of that's been saying nasty things about me, things that aren't true, that I haven't had the funds to respond to. Well, we began to get the momentum back in the last week. I got a feel for this race. Now, it feels good. It feels good, despite all that money.